A very important part of sounding impressive is to use a range of words. Today we're going to look at how you can use a range of words instead of using the same old boring words that don't make you sound as interesting as you should. Hi, welcome to Capshine. I'm Ajeeth Peo. Capshine is a revolutionary learn it together English fluency program. With Capshine, learning English is easy, fun, affordable, quick, and effective. And we promise a brand new you in 6 months or less. So, what are the different words that we use commonly and how do we, overcome that? How do we use a variety of them? Let's look at a few examples and see what other words can be used with examples. Let's look at the word good. Good is used very often. We use good to talk about how good something is, something that can be eaten, someone's character, whether a movie was good, right? It's a very useful word, but it gets boring. You can't keep saying good all the time. Instead, here are some alternatives. Splendid, terrific, amazing. These are all amazing alternatives to the word good. Let's look at some examples. That was a splendid dance performance. So instead of saying that was a good dance performance, you're saying splendid conveys a lot more meaning and it comes off very, very sophisticated, right? Similarly, you could say that was a terrific dance performance or it was amazing to watch you dance last night. All of these are great alternatives to using good. Here is another one, happy. Again, you could be happy to see someone. I'm happy about this incident. Are you happy with it? Happy, again, is a very versatile word, but it is overused and sometimes certain situations require you to use slightly more advanced words to capture the entire meaning. So here are some alternatives. Delighted, cheerful, elated. Let's see this in use with some examples. When I heard about my job offer, I was delighted or I was elated, to be filled with cheer, elated. You could also be delighted to meet someone. Instead of saying, I'm happy to meet you or I'm happy to see you, you could say, I'm delighted to see you. Or you could say someone is quite cheerful instead of saying they are a happy person. You could say they're a cheerful person. All these are great alternatives to saying happy. Again, notice how the situation and the context changes which word I would use. It means a little bit more than happy, and that's important to know that. Here's another one, bad. We again, like good, we use bad quite often in a variety of contexts. And while it can be quite useful to convey our meaning, in many situations require us to add more meaning to the context. Some examples of alternatives we can use is awful, atrocious, dreadful. Note that these are very negative words, so be careful where you use it and to whom you use it. The movie wasn't up to my expectations, it was awful. You can't, however, go to your friend and say, what you did was atrocious, right? They may have done a bad thing, but do not say things like atrocious to them or dreadful because that conveys a high level of judgment. Instead, that was an awful thing that you did, wasn't it? That's a much better way of saying it. So know your situation and use these words in the correct circumstance. Before we move to another few alternatives, a quick word about Capshine's free trial. With this, you get access to speaking and learning opportunities as a group. You get a personal coach who gives you feedback and recommendation on how you can improve. You get access to daily micro lessons and customized feedback that helps you build on your weaknesses and make them your strengths. And this can help you become a more confident and capable speaker in a very short period of time. I'll talk more about how you can access this at the end of the video. Let's continue, shall we? The next word is small. I have a small problem. I have a small request. Can you do me a small favor? Very often used, but not necessarily very varied in its usage. Instead, we could use words like tiny, minute, and compact. Depending on context, these can be used very effectively to convey the meaning. For example, there are many minute parts in a wristwatch. Notice how it gets the meaning across very successfully. Instead of saying there are many small parts, you could say there are many tiny parts as well. You could use compact in other situations. I own a very compact car, right? Instead of saying tiny, you could use compact there. So all these words are great alternatives to saying small. Here's another one, beautiful. How was the movie? Beautiful. How was your vacation? How were the images that you saw during your vacation? Beautiful. Well, there are other more varied ways of saying this. You could say elegant, stunning, exquisite. For instance, the Taj Mahal is an exquisite monument. You could also say she looked stunning in that dress, or he looked quite elegant while giving that presentation. All these do speak about beautiful, but add on a little bit of extra meaning, and they convey the meaning of what you're trying to say very effectively. Another set of words, or rather another word that we use quite often, is see. Can you see the difference? See there is a really nice image, whatever it be. We use see quite often. But see many times is not the most accurate word to be used. There are some great alternatives to it depending on the context. Glance at, observe, and notice are great alternatives. For example, I noticed some sports cars parked outside the building today. You could ask someone to glance at the report that you wrote. Can you see or look at the report that I wrote? Instead, you could say, can you glance at? Or you could ask someone to observe the events that are happening instead of asking them to see. Great alternatives to the word see. Instead of saying important, you could also use the words crucial, essential, or significant. This meeting is quite important for you, or it's important that you listen to this video completely. You could instead use these alternatives, and let's see how. Unity is the most essential trait required in a democracy, or it is crucial for us to be united during times of unrest. There is significance in working together. All these are important, or rather good alternatives to using the word important. Instead of saying funny, he is a funny guy, I found the movie quite funny, don't be so funny, right? All these again are quite commonly used. Instead, you could use the words hilarious, comical, amusing. For instance, his jokes are quite hilarious, or John is quite comical. I found the show quite amusing. Great alternatives instead of saying funny. I hope you found this video educational and you learned something new. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe. Drop a comment about other kinds of words that you think could replace very often used words. If you want to check out the free trial, make sure you go to capshine.com or download the app from the Play Store. Thanks for watching.